Great, okay. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call?
Berlin.
Here.
Buckles. Chaplin.
Here.
Rogan. Hart.
Here.
Healy. Henry.
Here.
Katrubis.
Present.
Mendrick.
Present.
Ozog.
Here.
Rutledge. Here. Selman.
Here.
Great, thank you very much. Under Chairman's remarks, real briefly, with leave of the body, I'm going to make an adjustment to our agenda here. I apologize, I might have to sneak out a couple minutes earlier this meeting, and Member Ozog, I may turn the reins over to you towards the tail end of the agenda if that's okay. But I know an important piece of discussion that we had scheduled for old business is around the IT department's 5% budget reduction. And since that is an important topic, I want to make sure we have time for discussion. And selfishly, I'd like to be here for that part. I'm going to move that to Chairman's remarks, if that's okay. Are there any objections or concerns with any members of the committee?
No.
No.
Okay, hearing none. Don, I'll turn it over to you and let's proceed with that item.
Okay, so as you know, we had talked initially about a 10, 20, and 30% walk down that we were looking at in case we needed to reduce the budget to match our revenues. We were tasked recently with a 5% reduction, finding money for that. And I'm going to turn it over to Wendy and let her talk about it. But, pardon me? So Wendy, without further ado.
I was going to walk over there, but I'm not on the screen. So our total budget for IT for fiscal year 21, our total budget request was $7,249,291. So a 5% reduction, you see there's just over $362 million. $1,000, not million. So I talked to finance and the auditor, and we decided not to budget for our December FireEye renewal because we can then charge that to the coronavirus fund, $115,000. And I'm also working with finance on direct and indirect chargebacks. All of our network costs, so we took our firewalls, we took our expenses for like our
Security software, antivirus.
Software, et cetera. And we did that on a per connected user basis. So there are departments that have people that aren't, that don't have user IDs at the county, and like groundskeepers, housekeepers, et cetera. So we're not going to charge departments for that, but we do on a per connected user. That's $270,807. And then ERP software maintenance costs per employee, because every employee benefits from the ERP using employee self-service. That's not just over $92,000. And then Adobe licensing costs, we did the actual cost of software used. So if a department requests Adobe licensing, we install that in their department and we do the actual cost of that program. So we do an enterprise term lease agreement with Adobe, and we split those costs by per actual software used. So the actual budget reduction is just under 500,000 at 6.7%. So we got over the 5% mark.
Just a note on the chargebacks. That's something that is fairly standard across the government IT industry. I had done that in a former position. When I came here, I talked to our CFO about it. It just wasn't something the county was doing. I think it's a good opportunity for us to be able to show when a department says, here's how much it costs to run whatever department, having those IT costs in there makes sense. It shows the full cost of what that particular department or agency is expending. So fairly standard across the industry, and I think it's a good thing.
Additionally, when I talk to finance, they also have our telephone costs and our communication costs, like internet service costs. They did not want to do the chargebacks on that yet, just because they didn't want to.
I think it would have been too much at one time.
So I'll pause here, Wendy, real quick. I saw a couple hands. So I have Member Ozog first, Member Rutledge second, and Member Chaplin third, and then Member Selman fourth, and Treasurer Henry fifth.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going back to Don's first remarks, I'm unclear if I've missed something, but departments were told 5, I believe 10, 20, and 30% reductions. Has something come down, some edict where we're going to go with 5%? Or what, is there something that I've missed somewhere about where where we're looking for departments to land in terms of budget reductions?
The current guidance from the CFO is 5%.
5%. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Rutledge.
Yeah, I just had a question about the Adobe. So we're paying a blanket subscription rate to Adobe, and then you bill out to the departments depending on how many people are actually using the software.
That's going to be the new model. In the old model, we just paid it. And one of the things that happened was give everybody Adobe Pro, and it was expensive. And now I think we're going to get people to think about that a little bit more, and we can coach them and consult with them on whether they really need it or they don't.
Do we have a specific department that's doing any graphic work that would require Photoshop or
So County Board, they have a media specialist that uses it. OEM uses it also, but it's
Okay.
not just the graphics, it's the Adobe Professional, really.
Yeah.
Our department, our developers use the entire Adobe suite for development. But other than that, it's mostly Adobe Professional.
It's a lot of, Sheila, a lot of forms, a lot of fill-in forms.
And I'm very familiar with a
Right.
small sliver of the
And the
suite,
Photoshop
so-
piece is expensive.
Oh, I know.
So as you know, so that's a piece that's included in here, but it's not the lion's share of
Right.
what it is. Like SAO is a big user, for example, of Adobe Pro because they work with a lot of documents.
Okay.
They own the market.
Yes, they do.
All right, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Good morning, guys. So the expenses, the ERP and the Adobe and things like that, we're going to now start charging other departments, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're really not reducing our budget, we're pushing it over to the other departments, correct? I mean, that's what I'm kind of, right, there's not gonna be a reduction, it's just being spread out over each department. Is
Well,
that,
we're reducing a general fund expense and we're charging only non-general fund departments. So those enterprise funds that do have those revenue streams that they're able to continue with even during a pandemic, because a lot of those are user-based, it's a much more equitable way to spread the cost.
okay, so we're spreading the cost, we're
Correct.
spreading, we're not really, there's no real reduction.
It's a reduction to the general fund.
Right, reduction to the general fund, okay. But those other departments are gonna have to come up with ways to fund that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we worked with them, the CFO did, and, we determined that it's something that they can handle. So it isn't just a surprise and good luck.
Okay,
so-
thank you, thanks, thank you.
Is that all, Member Chaplin?
Selman.
Member Selman.
Yeah, thank you. Sort of a follow up on Member Chaplin's question. So I agree that we're kind of just moving things around, but I agree that it makes sense to be doing this and probably, I agree, Don, maybe something we should have been doing in the past. The sort of when we get to a final, which I know we're not final, I know we're still waiting on a bunch of numbers. Could we help get an understanding of how much is actually being put on each department? So understand that you aren't going to be spending your time like going through being like, okay, you've got one employee here using an Adobe in here. I want sort of a general understanding. Because I agree, this is kind of just shuffling stuff around for a little bit, and it doesn't mean it's not the right choice. I just want to understand the impact that we're putting on other
We actually
departments.
did do that for Adobe. We went through department by department, said,
Oh, nice.
how many people have this? So for the Adobe costs, we did do that because we're doing it based on who's using what.
Okay, so that would be something I would just be interested in seeing, just because.
We can share those
Yeah.
departmental,
Yeah.
the chargebacks.
Okay. And I would say if we can get through the budget process with this is the, hopefully the target, this is only the 5%. I think that's a pretty good, in light of everything, that's pretty positive that all we would have to do is maybe tidy up our accounting versus really cutting services or anything. So well done if this is where we get to stay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I would
Chairman.
agree with that. I would agree with that. Thanks, Member Selman. Treasurer Henry.
Yeah, I would go back to what Member Chaplin said. I think it is just moving it from here to there. There was not any discussion. We got an email that said this is what the allocation is going to be. So there wasn't any discussion about it. So it is what it is, but just moving it from one place to another doesn't reduce the total amount of outflow from the county during the course of the year. So just so everybody knows that. And I wanted to ask about this fire eye and the 115,000 that's going to not be renewed in December and thinking it's going to go to the, I assume, the CARES Act? Is that what you're thinking? But haven't we had the fire eye all along?
We have, but that's not what the act says. The act is unbudgeted and it's an unbudgeted expense.
Except well, I guess it is, except you've been using it all along and budgeting for it and spending the money. So all of a sudden it now comes up to be a CARES Act item. It seems a little strange.
We did vet that through the auditor and finance.
I understand. Have you vetted it through the state's attorney?
I have not been asked about it, but I'm happy to take a look at it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Member Chaplin, please.
What about the third party person that we hired to help us look through COVID funding? Have we run it by this individual as well, along with the auditor? Because, yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay, thank you.
And to the treasurer's point, I think obviously Connor, we can work with you and the state's attorney just to get their eyes on that as well, just to make double sure. But as you mentioned, it has gone through the stages for vetting that we have.
The normal stages.
Yep.
Except we've had this for several years. We've paid this money, right?
Yes, and they were aware of that.
So it's nothing new that we're spending money on. It's something we've had before.
Well, the CARES Act doesn't differentiate between new and existing. It differentiates between budgeted and unbudgeted.
Well, so we weren't smart. I guess they could come back and say you weren't smart enough to budget for it, so now you're going to put it through the CARES Act. And that's what I think they could raise a question about. Were you not going to do it then if you didn't get it through the CARES Act? Would we not do it if we can't get it through the CARES Act? Would we not do fire eye?
Yeah. As has been said, there's a process that we've established at the county to vet these items. It has been vetted, and for extra safety, we'll be checking with the state's attorney. But I'm comfortable with the vetting that we've done in the process that's been established at the county. Treasurer Henry, I agree. I understand your points, but we'll follow the process.
So my question really is then, if we can't get it through the CARES Act, would we not do it?
We would do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Don and Wendy. Appreciate the update. I think it is good news. Moving on with items on the agenda. Do we have any public comment?
No.
Okay, no public comment. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of August 25th.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion, additions, or corrections?
I do have one minor correction.
Yes, Member Sullivan.
Thank you, Chairman, sorry. At the end, we had a discussion about the taxes, and I don't have any follow-up questions, but it says that I suggested reaching out to Giving DuPage, which, while I think Shefali knows many things, not real estate taxes, I think it was supposed to be Choose DuPage in the notes. But we do not need to follow up on
We
that.
got it.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Any other? Hearing none, let's do a roll call. Take your time.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Brogan, Hart,
Aye.
Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Petrubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Ozog,
Aye.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
Aye.
Thank you. The item passes. Moving on to item 6, budget transfers. I'll entertain a motion on item A, which is a budget transfer adjustment total of $142,885 for the following software maintenance agreements, which I'll refer in the passage here.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin.
Aye.
Brogan, Hart,
Aye.
Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Petrubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Ozog,
Aye.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. The item passes. Moving on to procurement requisitions. I'll entertain a motion on TEP 235-20.
Moved.
Recommendation for the approval of a contract or purchase order to CDW Government, Inc. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Member Chaplin.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Are we ever going to get the subcontractors on these, on the CDW?
I think you provided those, right?
Yeah, there are no subcontractors we have never had a subcontractor on a CDW project.
So CDW just does it themselves?
They do it themselves. They
Okay.
do have subcontractors, but they don't work. We've never had one in
Oh.
all the years that I've used them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And they do have to disclose them if they do use them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Chapman. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Grogan, Hart,
Aye.
Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Bozak,
No.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
Sorry, Member Selman, do you mind saying that one more time?
Oh, sorry, aye.
All ayes, one no.
Okay, thank you. The item passes. Moving on to item B, I'll entertain a motion on TEP 236-20, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CDW government for the purchase of small and large value technology equipment.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Grogan, Hart,
Aye.
Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Bozak,
No.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
aye.
Thank you. The item passes. Moving on to item C, I'll entertain a motion on 2020-229, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector for the purchase of a subscription for KnowBe4 security awareness training platform.
So moved.
So moved. Aye. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Grogan, Hart,
Aye.
Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Bozak,
Aye.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
Aye.
Thank you. And this is the point in the meeting where I'm unfortunately going to have to step out. So I'll turn over the reins of the chairman's seat to Member Mary Ozag. And Mary, if you don't mind leading the group through the rest of the items, that'd be much appreciated.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's see, we're at D, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see, I'd like to move on item 2020-230, recommendation for approval of a contract purchase order to AT&T.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Grogan, Hart, Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Bozak,
Aye.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
Aye.
All ayes.
Okay, next item E. I'd like to move on item 2020-231, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Treehouse Software Incorporated for software maintenance and service for utility software for GIS.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? No, seeing none. Roll call, please.
Berlin,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Grogan, Hart, Healy, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Bozak,
Aye.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Selman.
aye.
All ayes.
Okay, item F, action item, recommendation to reject all proposals received for bid number 20-038-IT for the project manager for property tax system for the Information Technology Department.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
Mary, I got a hand up.
I'm sorry, I can't see.
Member
Sheila.
Rutledge.
Sheila.
Okay, go ahead, Sheila. Thank you.
Can we just get a little background on this one?
So
Yes.
we have a contract with Tyler Technologies to put in a new property tax system. That project has been delayed because of the pandemic, the implementation start has been delayed. So we're looking at Q4, hopefully, and the implementation and the treasurer's, been involved in this quite a bit. It's 26-month implementation. It has been my recommendation that we have a project manager to help with the project. So we went out for bids. The bids got stale because of the pandemic, so we're rejecting them. It is our intention to go out for an RFP again, and then we can make a decision on, if we want to go forward or how we want to go forward with something like this.
Hey, Don, a question in terms of you want to do this for Q4, you're going to need to move very quickly, obviously.
Yeah, correct. We put the bid out ASAP. The spec is all written, obviously, because we've already bid it once. So we're going to put it out again, and we think the refresh from the firms that responded or will respond should be relatively quick.
Okay.
A good point.
Treasurer Henry, do you have any input on this?
We have questioned the need for the project manager, whole project manager situation. So we'll wait to see what the proposals are. But before we say we're in favor of it, we'll have to wait and see what their proposals are.
Okay, thank you. Member Chaplin?
Yes, thank you. Is this was this the contract we just extended out like 3 months? We paid additional funding. I think it was Tyler, because they couldn't come in because of the COVID to do this tax.
Not this particular project. We have Tyler for a number of other things.
Okay.
Might have been, I'm thinking billing. I'm looking at Nick because I think I think it was the Tyler billing product.
It was in Public Works.
It was.
Yeah,
for
we haven't
public-
made any payments on this project to Tyler or anybody else at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, seeing no more discussion, roll call, please.
Lynn,
Aye.
Buckles, Chaplin,
Aye.
Rogan, Hart, Ely, Henry,
Aye.
Katarubis,
Aye.
Mendrick,
Aye.
Ozog,
Aye.
Rutledge. Aye. Selman.
Aye. Sorry, aye.
All ayes.
Okay, thank you. Number 8, do we have any old business? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to new business. Number 9, no new business. All right, and in that case, I'm going to call us adjourned. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary.
Take care, everyone.